Alright, ladies and gentlemen, MrSotko here. Welcome back to the channel. And today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to talk about the year of 2017, the year of crypto, and what exactly happened throughout the year. And so it's not incredibly in detail or anything like that, but I really want to talk about some of the big things that happened throughout the year. And I may have missed a few things in between, but likely I didn't really miss it, at least in the news portion on my channel, at least at some point. When it actually happened. So if you guys feel like I missed anything, go ahead and put it down in the comments below. That's fine. We can start a discussion. But before I get into that, I would like to respond to a comment. And here's the thing, is I usually don't respond to comments, at least in terms of the negative ones. I just kind of let them go. But this one, I just couldn't. And once in a while, I just can't help myself. So it's on this video here, the new, our 2080 Ti. And I had this right here, and, somebody's saying that they disagreed with me, that I was wrong about mining, but I was like, well, basically you don't. Like, I mean, if you watch the whole video, like, I basically agreed with everything you said. And that was the end of that. But then this guy says, here, Shonuff, this hot shot, he knows exactly what he's talking about. I mean, it just... Sousy genius, 135 IQ. Yeah, this guy is wrong about a lot of stuff, actually. The prices of crypto means jack when you're mining. What? Since when? I mean, I know difficulty is also a thing as well, but since when do prices mean jack when you're mining? How about the nice hash, or excuse me, how about the nice hash calculator? If you take a look at that, the S9 miner is making less than $4 a day. And do you think that's just because of difficulty alone? What if Bitcoin went to 20,000? It would be making 3 times what it is now. It said if the difficulty didn't go up threefold as well, or whatever, it'd be making $12 a day each. So there's a huge difference, and that's why everybody talks about if Bitcoin goes down below a certain level, it's going to cost people more electricity than they're actually getting in coin, and that's a major problem for particularly really big mining operations in warehouses and stuff. So I don't know where that guy got that information. I think he just thought that in his head without doing the research, and he's just like, crypto don't mean nothing. The price of crypto don't mean nothing when you're mining. What? No, that is the most wrong thing I've ever heard in the crypto space. I would sooner believe that Bitcoin Cash is the real Bitcoin before I would believe somebody saying that the price of crypto means nothing when you're mining. He goes on to say the only time the price matters is when you use it to buy stuff or trade it for fiat. I get what he's saying there, that it doesn't matter until you actually transform it into US dollar or euro or whatever, because, you could just be mining at a loss for a while until the price goes up. But if we're waiting for the price to go up to pay for our crypto to trade it for fiat, aren't we, doesn't it mean that it kind of resides on the price of crypto when you're mining? Wouldn't it mean that a little bit? So miners generally sit on their crypto. Yeah, totally. But they're sitting on it because they can't sell it right now, because they're going to sell it for less than the electricity than it took. They're going to sell it for, less money than the electricity it took for them to get that crypto. That's why prices mean something. Hello? Boop, boop, boop. We're playing peekaboo. 2-year-olds. This guy's pretty retarded, to be honest. Definitely. And WTF was he talking about with PSUs not having 12-volt rails? The rig wouldn't be running if it didn't have 12-volt rail. If they're shutting down, it's because the PSU are probably garbage and over-spec'd for the amperage they were rated for. I feel like he has no idea how Ohm's law works. Also, the Ethereum ASIC miners are garbage. I agree. So one thing I agree with, they're pretty garbage. They're on par with... like 5 or 6 AMD 570s or whatever. So, but there are better Ethereum ASICs than the first wave that came out that was like 180 mega hash or whatever. When it first came out, there are better ones now, which are definitely more efficient and a little bit better, but I agree. Ethereum ASIC miners, total garbage. The Zcash ASIC is a beast, but the Ethereum ASIC is garbage. Also agree that the Zcash ASIC is a beast. Especially the Silicon one, the 50,000 Sol miner. Pretty incredible. But what I'm talking about with PSUs not having 12-volt rails is I'm not talking about PSUs that do not have 12-volt rails. Listen further. I feel like people sometimes just, as soon as they hear something in the video, they have to immediately hit pause and just type out a long paragraph of how I was wrong, and they didn't continue the video. So the idea is that on some cheaper PSUs, if you look at the back of your PSU, especially a modular PSU, and it has the little square and it has all of the 8-pin GPU connectors, and there's usually 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If you have 9, if you have just 6, it's usually 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The idea is that some cheaper PSUs only have 12-volt rails. These are rails. Those are called rails, and only on the top one. That way, you plug in your GPUs on that top one, and it's not designed to run 6, 8 GPUs, only maybe a few. And the other rails are just either cheaply made or it's a server PSU, and those rails on the bottom are not 12-volt rails. They are intended to hook up a ton of hard drives or other like low-power hardware that a server would produce. As a server, you'd have a ton of different hard drives, to run things and to hold all the data and whatnot, and not just like 8 GPUs on a server. So the idea is what I was talking about is that a friend of mine had bought a ton of GPUs, and they set up a rig with 8 and a rig with 7, and they also had like a rig with 6, but it had a totally different PSU on it. It was actually a good PSU. The 7 and 8 rig had only had 2,000 watt power supplies, but they were really, really bad power supplies. They didn't even have logos on them. They were very Chinese. They just didn't seem like they were constructed well. However, you could hook up like 9 GPUs to this thing because of the 8-pin connectors. However, I suspected that he only had 12-volt rails on the very top of them because it would restart on him constantly. So yeah, either it was a bad PSU or it did not have full 12-volt rail capacity, which is a thing. Please Google stuff before you just spew fecal matter. It's just, I mean, he's just opening his mouth. It's just like, ugh, just flopping on the ground, and it's just like there's still flies in it. So just Google things. Or watch the whole video before you comment like that. So grow up. Anyway, 2017. So I wanted to show you this, and you say, what does Genesis Mining have to do with this? Well, Genesis Mining came out in about 2014, and it didn't really get too big till about 2017. And the thing about Genesis Mining, it didn't really necessarily raise prices of crypto, but it did make it popular because a lot of people didn't know how to mine themselves, so instead they would just put money on Genesis Mining and let her rip, essentially, and let her go. So now the people that put money on Genesis Mining when it first came out, sure, you probably made your money back and more money, and you did great. But the people that did it 2017, when crypto was really exploding, did not make their money back, or barely so, and not much profit, and, the contracts are being threatened to shut down, the maintenance fees are higher than what you're getting every day because crypto prices are low, mining, so right back to show enough. I don't understand. So if crypto mining prices don't matter when you're mining, then why did Hashflare not pay people out, and why does Hashflare, no, electricity doesn't matter, electricity doesn't matter, just throwing out of his mouth. Anyway, so this started the craze, essentially, of referral links, because the referral links on Genesis Mining were egregious. Now, I don't have those exact figures up right now, but they were pretty egregious. You get a certain percentage of all their mining, and you get hash power as well. So you can just continuously stack hash power the more people that sign up to your referral link. Then when you're making YouTube videos, it looks like you're doing really good. It looks like you put in tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars to Genesis Mining. And other people are like, hey, I want to make those kind of profits too. I want to make $100 a day on Genesis Mining as well. And they put in a few thousand or 1,000 or 100, and they find out, no, that's not the case. I'm not making that much at all because I need referral links. So then they start referral linking. And that's kind of where the referral link really started in 2017. Now, there were referral links before that. Coinbase had their own referral links. In fact, I think you got like actually a few Bitcoin way back in the day, like 2012, when you signed up for Coinbase because Bitcoin was so cheap at the time. But you got a lot of Bitcoin back in the day on Coinbase. So that's kind of the start of it. That's kind of where the referral links really started to really explode, in my opinion, was Genesis Mining and then the various cloud mining services. Then we see BitConnect. BitConnect came about in about It says the initial release was February 2016, but it really came about January 2017. That's when the real big explosion of it occurred. And BitConnect, if you're wondering, what's the referral link? What's the referral bonus of that? So it's incredible, mind you, incredible. So this is some YouTuber's video here, and it kind of shows it to some degree. Let's say that's you, and you invite 2 friends, you get 7% of what they put in. And then 3 people, you get 3%, and then 4, you get 1% of them, 1%, and it keeps going down. As you can see, the more people you invite, and then there's level 10, and then there's infinity. So every time after that, you're getting 1% of what everybody puts in. And when thousands and thousands of people are putting in thousands or 10,000s, or even people mortgaging their houses, getting a second mortgage, you know, and taking loans out against themselves to put into BitConnect, you're making a lot of money at that point, a lot of money. That's why you see, like, Ryan Hildreth driving around in these souped up cars, and all these YouTubers making, you know, $1 million at the age of 17. It's because of referral links. So that created a huge craze. It was the ease of use in the early 2017. So you could just go on to Genesis Mining, or you could just go on to BitConnect, and you could start making a lot of money. And you would tell other people, look how much money I'm making, and they got on, and they got on, and they got on. Now the key thing with BitConnect is that to get BCC, as you can see here, now BCC is only 46 cents a piece. But at one point, it was very, very expensive. I think upwards of well over $500. So that means you had to buy BTC, send it to your wallet on BitConnect, which the website still exists somehow. Send it to your wallet on BitConnect, and then, you know, trade it. So let me get you started here with Genesis Mining. Let's say that you put in. Let's take a look at Bitcoin at 2017, right at the start, and we'll do 2017 to 2018 here. So 2017, Bitcoin was about $1,000, right in January. Now it fluctuated. Sometimes it was 900, sometimes it was in the 800s, but we'll go with $1,000, even though it was sometimes a little less than that, so you'd make even more money. But let's go with it. And you put in $1,000, you know, you put in like $10,000 into Bitcoin. Then you sell it at nearly $20,000. Let's say you had the patience to wait for that, and you happen to catch it somewhere in this high. Now, that's upwards of $200,000 that you made. But with Genesis Mining, that wouldn't be the case. You would not have made nearly that much money. You would, and by now, if you were still had that same contract, now you're just not getting paid out at all. And another problem with those contracts is they have a minimum withdrawal. So, you know, if your contract is going to end soon, sometimes they're open-ended, but if your contract is going to end soon and you pull out your money before it ends, that means that you're going to be mining still. They're going to be mining on your behalf, and you won't be able to pull that minimum amount because it won't equal that minimum amount depending on your hash rate, etc. So we can see here that putting your money into a second party like this, into a third party, if you will, you know, just results in them taking a lot of your money and you not getting as much profit because, go figure, you're giving it to a third party. There's no reason to put money into Genesis Mining. You could just buy all of the coin for yourself and then sell it at a time that you wish you could. Whereas Genesis Mining, you're going to be waiting for your minimum withdrawal. And if you do withdraw, then you can't withdraw the rest of it till you reach the minimum withdrawal again. So there's a big problem with that. And now let me explain BitConnect to you, just in case you never got the idea. It was an investment platform. They use BitConnect, the BCC token, to bot trade against the market, and then they would give you more BCC in return. So let me put that into perspective for you. I made Sotko coin, you know, number one Sotko coin. Now let's say I had Sotko coin and I made a website and I came up to you and everybody else with adverts or whatever, and I said, okay, so if you give me Bitcoin, I will give you Sotko coin. And you go, okay, so that's kind of that's a deal, right? Because I'm getting something for my Bitcoin. However, I'm taking your precious Bitcoin, the objectively most rare, precious, whatever you want to call it, most sought after cryptocurrency. And I'm taking that and I'm giving you Sotko coin, a coin that I basically made up out of nowhere, just like BCC was made up out of nowhere. Now, it had its own blockchain. It could be mineable. It was mineable. It was stakeable, yada, yada. But for the most part, it was totally made up for the program. So I give you Sotko coin, or BCC in this case, whatever. And then I tell you, hey, if you give me that Sotko coin back and you invest it with me, I will give you dividends back on that Sotko coin. And at first you might think to yourself, that's the stupidest scam I've ever heard. But if you happen to see this website, look, this has to be real. It has to be real. Look at it. It's a cool website with all these little happy characters all over it. And look at all the YouTubers making all this money, right? So now not only do I have your Bitcoin, but I got my Sotko coin back too. I got my BCC back. So I have it all. I literally have it all. I just took your Bitcoin, gave you something, and then asked for it right back without giving you the Bitcoin back, and then said I'm going to invest it for you. That's BitConnect. There is no reason to give somebody your coin to invest it for you unless you actually have a real broker and you're like, here's my coin, and even still, you're going to be paying them money to do that. But even still, at least that's more realistic. So there's no reason to do that. So as we can see, in 2017 was the big year. Well, we went from $1,000 to $20,000, a 20-fold increase in Bitcoin. And it was amazing. And I really believe that a huge portion of this price increase was people buying into BitConnect and buying and putting in. And on top of that, a lot of YouTubers and a lot of people, which is not necessarily a negative thing. The YouTubers that do crypto, like myself, is not necessarily inherently a negative thing. I tell people how to go onto Coinbase and buy coin for free and not have to pay the fees. You know what that does to me? That actually has that's less referral links for me. Literally, that's less referral links. If I just told you to go to Coinbase when I first started and say, hey, just buy away and trade on Coinbase, I would have made way more money in referral links. But nope, because I'm gonna tell you, hey, you don't have to do that. You just put your money on there or put your money straight to GDAX. And if you put your money directly to Coinbase, then you just ship it over to GDAX. Either way, I guess it just adds an extra step, and that's free. That's all free. And then limit orders, totally free, and then sending it back to your bank account, free. So there are a lot of YouTubers out there that did a good thing. They told people how to buy, how to mine, how to trade, how to do this, how to do that with what to look out for, the news, this, that, and the other thing. And then there's people like Trevon James. So we can see that Trevon James started about 2 years ago in 2016. So it really wasn't until BitConnect came along, and he since has released all of his. And this is about the time that BitConnect came out. Is Coinbase running out of Bitcoin? No, they're not, actually. But this is about the time, about 1 year ago. So there would be BitConnect videos just peppered in all of these. But they have since been deleted, and his collection of videos has shrunk drastically. If you remember his channel, there used to be mining videos, or like Genesis Mining and Hashflare, and BitConnect videos everywhere. And now it's kind of coming back a little bit. So if we click on this, still earning 5% per month with BitConnect, that's super smart. Should I just start posing? Like, will I get more videos if I do that? Will I get more views if I do that? Just take a picture of myself and then like cut myself out, spend the time like staring at my own face and cutting it out with a big orange glow around it, because you can't cut yourself out properly. And so you just put a big nasty orange glow around yourself and then swap it and then put BitConnect 5% per month on a piece of on a picture. So I got to like literally take my own selfie. You got to remember that when people make these, they're taking their own selfie. This isn't from like the camera or anything. Like this guy's like holding out and he's going alone. He's alone while he's doing this, going with a camera. And make a funny face. Make a silly face. Be surprised. Taking his own picture. A grown man taking selfies like that. And still getting money. Oh, BitConnect promoter arrested. Still earning 5% from BitConnect. Awesome. That's pretty good. That's good for you. Another thing that happened in 2017 was China. China became even bigger than they always were in terms of mining. It just exploded. And as you can see here, there was this big dip. And let me zoom in a little bit, and it shows it a little bit better if I do that. In September, we see we reached about $5,000. And then shortly after that, we went to 3,000. What happened there? Well, that was when Bitcoin was banned from, like, Chinese regulators say the exchange ban is certain, and that was indeed certain. They took that away. I remember that they took all the exchanges away. They stopped them dead in their tracks, and everybody panic sold and went down to 3,000. And yet the referral links and Hashflare continued. And as you can see here, it went just way up. And the final thing I have to mention for 2017, at least the things that I feel like are the most, and not necessarily like some kind of new coin coming out and it pumping in some way, but you know, fairly insignificant. So Bitcoin futures came out on the December 17th. And they didn't really start until the 18th. And as you can see here, there's this massive dip right here because the institutional investors knew, hey, this growth is way too much. This is the time to start shorting. And, you know, I would imagine that a lot of them probably bought Bitcoin over the counter with millions of dollars, essentially, and then started selling it to complete their shorts and their on their futures, on their contracts, and they certainly did. As you can see, like, it did nothing good for Bitcoin, and it rocked it down. Now, there was probably an impending correction coming at some point, but as you can see, this is pretty fairly organic growth here. But I do still believe that a lot of it was people just rushing to buy Bitcoin because of the price just going up naturally, and of course BitConnect as well. All these referral programs going around. You couldn't go on YouTube. You couldn't turn a corner without finding another YouTuber, you know, pawning off BitConnect because it made you so much money when you did it. Even small YouTubers. Now, everybody rips on Trevon James just because he was one of the biggest, that along with Crypto Nick. But he was just one of the biggest, okay? So, you know, you can't put all the blame on him. Because there were just, you know, even YouTubers with just like 80 subscribers or just a few subscribers or hundreds of subscribers were trying this as well. So they, you know, they just had like a couple hundred views on their BitConnect review or this, that, or the other thing. So it was just this huge collective of people doing it all at once. And, you know, the China crash didn't really help too much, but it did come back from that. And then once Bitcoin futures came about, it just dominated it, it took it over, and it has dropped ever since. And ever since, it has been going down and down and down, and has been staying relatively stagnant for some time now. But even still, you can see that it's kind of just overall average is still going down a little bit. It'll turn around sooner or later, probably. But you know, one good thing, not a good thing, but one quote that I've heard that always sticks in my mind, it can never go away, and it's so silly, it's so stupid, but it makes a lot of sense. And the thing is with Bitcoin, somebody said one time, you know, I read on Reddit or something, my voice is going, and they said, yeah, Bitcoin will keep going up until the day it doesn't. True. You know, and you can't argue with that, and it doesn't have any real meaning to it, but it has some kind of existential meaning in a sense. You know, it doesn't necessarily say, oh yeah, Bitcoin is going to go down next and it's going to stay down, but it is what it is. It's going to keep going up until the day that it doesn't. But with increasing difficulty, increasing miners, I don't really see it ever crashing to a really low level, to something like 5,000 or 4,000 ever again, because of the cost of electricity. Nobody's going to want to sell it for any less than that. Then ant miners are going to be making so little that some people are going to be shutting down, which is going to, you know, lower the difficulty a little bit, and then other people are going to take their place. So I don't think it's ever going to stop anytime soon. And I believe in my heart that you know, Bitcoin is going to go up sooner or later here. But I think the moral of this is to not get too hypey with everything. Also, something I didn't really mention that people are probably just itching in their pants is the ICO phase of 2017. You could literally just about buy any ICO. You could pretty much put blinders on, spin around in circles, pin the tail on a donkey, and choose that ICO wherever you pinned it. You could probably have a big piece of paper with all kinds of different ICOs on it that are current, and just spin around and boom, pin a tail on one of them, pick it, and then buy it and then sell it as soon as it goes to an exchange, and you can make a lot of money in 2017, but no longer is the case. And I think people put too much money into these things. People only have a certain amount of money that they can spend over a given period of time. And they put all their money into BitConnect. They put all their money into referral programs and Genesis Mining. They put all their money into these ICOs that turned out that, sure, some of them went up in price, but most of them went nowhere. Most of those ICOs we can clearly see on CoinMarketCap as some of these, real vague nonsense coins. Even the 200 are okay, but like once you get back here, it's just, these are just ICO coin after ICO coin that like Trade Token, Mobile Go, just all these coins are just mostly just nonsense. They have a tiny market cap of just 12 million. And it was really, really easy for them to do that, considering that ERC20 tokens had a contract. You could just put a contract in it saying that if I received Ethereum from you, you receive my coin. So, that could have been done with any coin. I mean, you could do that. I could do that with SotKo coin, I guess. I could make a coin, and I could make 1 million of the coins, because I got 1 million SotKo coin. You guys got 0. Look at me. Look at me. But I'm just saying that you could make 1 million coins. Then you can put a contract in the ERC20, and sell 900,000 of them. You plan to sell 900,000 of them at $1 a piece. So 1 Ethereum, if it's $500, would get you 500 coins. You sell 900,000 of them. You take that $900,000 and you put it on an exchange, and then you keep 100,000 of them because you were the developer and because you're greedy. That's basically an ICO in a nutshell. And a lot of them didn't have any kind of plan past that. They didn't really. Some of them were just outright scams, saying, "Hey, let's see how many millions we could just pull from people and then run away." A lot of them were like, "Hey, we kind of have a plan of what we're going to do, but we need the money first." Like, no, you need the plan first, not the money first, and then the plan. You need the plan first. I could plan a whole bunch of things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to get the money, and I'm not just going to get a bunch of money for, I'm not going to be like, give me $10 million and then I'll think of a business. No, give me the business idea first. And a lot of ICOs just didn't have that. They just had a lot of word salad on their pages. So that's 2017 in a nutshell. I know I didn't have too much good news for you today. I was trying to look up some good news, and honestly, there really wasn't. And I kind of wanted to talk about what had happened in 2017, why 2017 was so big, and why 2018 isn't. I think everybody got burned. They learned their lesson. There's a lot of locked up liquidity, if you will, and people bought 15,000, 16,000, 17,000 when Bitcoin was at those prices, right? If you bought in at 17,000 and then a few days later, because look how fast this went. Look how fast Bitcoin went from such and such to 20,000. This was exceptionally fast that it made this rise. So we pulled it in here, and let's see, where's the, it's hard to define, where did the major rise begin, but let's say about 8,200 here, I suppose you could say, because there was this big stagnant period. I suppose you could start it there or wherever you want, but wherever you start this, you have to agree that there was this meteoric rise very, very quickly. Imagine if you bought in at 18,000. That means you had 2 days before it crashed super hard on you, or at 16,000, you just had 8 days. Excuse me. You just had 8 days. I'm trying to hiccup while I'm talking. It's not easy to do. And if you bought it December 17th, you had 8-9 days till it crashed on you. And you gotta think to yourself in retrospect. You're like, well, you shouldn't have bought that high. I agree, but in hindsight is 2020, especially in the markets. What you also have to understand is that people had to buy at these prices to keep the price going up even higher. So somebody bought at $19,800. They bought it somewhere up here. Somebody did, and they might have put in 1,000. They might have put in 10,000. They might have put $100,000 in. You don't know. So all these people, all this money right here, all this money to up till, I would say, at least, well, of course, anything over what it is now, but anybody that bought in anywhere here, this 10,000 to 20,000 range has their liquidity just totally locked up. It's totally frozen unless you sell it for a huge loss, and you sold it. You sold it now when you bought it at 16,000. So you sold it as a massive loss. So when that price goes back up, there's going to be this weird unlocking, this unfreezing, if you will, of all this Bitcoin that is probably sitting on exchanges with a limit order waiting to sell it back at $20,000 again. So that's going to be a weird period. Are people going to sell off their coin and give up forever? Or are they going to just keep raising the price and keep riding it up? We don't know. So that was a major problem for people. ICOs, referral links, everything all together just really propped up the price. You had to go out and buy this to buy the ICO. You had to go out and buy Bitcoin to go and to BitConnect and Genesis Mining and this, that, and the other thing. So 2017 was a huge year, and people typically learned their lesson. A lot of locked up liquidity. People don't want to be scammed anymore, so there's been way less ICOs, way less scammy stuff that people have just been getting into, except for proof of weak hands, which I don't see why anybody still does that. But either way, that was 2017 in a nutshell. What do you guys remember about 2017, and what are your plans for 2018, and what do you think about the whole situation? But I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below, and as usual, I will see you guys next time.